Have you ever wondered how to price your rental property to get the best return? Well, here are a few tips to help. First, you need to know as much as you can about your property in the market. What positives does your property have? Desirable floor plan, good upgrades, unique features. How about the community amenities? Pool, swim, tennis, playground. How about the area? Is it close to major interstates, retail, dining, parks, recreation? All of those can affect the rental value of your property. Potential negatives are if your property is not as well updated as competition, or if it's in a poor location, or just a poor area of the neighborhood. First house in on the right, first house in on the left. Bad traffic patterns coming out of your neighborhood into heavy traffic, undesirable schools, things like that. You need to take all of that into account when pricing your home. Also, time of year. Our area here has a very strong rental market, usually between March and August, and it drops off considerably between September and March, February. So you need to take that into account when you're pricing. What time of the year is it? You may need to adjust the price or your incentives for an out-of-season type marketing. If you have access to your local MLS, that's probably one of the best sources for market data that you can use when pricing your rental property. Our MLS will allow us to look at what the current market is, and we can look back several years to see what properties have leased for, the features the properties have, how long they were on the market, etc., etc. Good rule of thumb is maybe look back in about a 90-day history, 3-mile radius around your property, and in a price range that you think your property might lease for. So $2,000 to $3,000 in a 90-day market. That's going to tell you what your current competition is, how many properties are on the market in 90 days, how many leased in 90 days, divide that by 3, that's how many are leasing per month during that time period. You can also look at the average time on the market, how many days they're on the market before they get a lease. Then you can compare the features of those properties to the features of your properties to make sure that you're in that group and in that price range. And then you can adjust the price based on your needs and based on the time of year in the market. So if your property is vacant and you need to lease it quickly, then you probably want to price yourself down in the lower third or lower quarter of the available properties to give your property the best chance to lease next and stop your funds bleeding out of your pocket and your overhead and your vacancy costs. So then if you have somebody in the property, say our leases allow us to put the property back on the market 60 days before the tenant moves out. Gives us 60 days ahead of the vacancy date to try to find a new tenant. We can test the higher end part of the price range of the market, see if we can get the higher price, and if not, we've got a little bit of time to adjust before we get down to that time of vacancy where we're going to start incurring more monthly costs just due to the vacancy and the overhead. So that's a good way to look at that. Really depends on your individual needs once you determine what price range you fit in as to where you actually price the property. A couple other things you can do is, if you're in the fall, you can offer a longer term, say an 18-month lease that's going to bring your lease renewal cycle back out in the spring, where if the tenant decides not to renew and you have to put it back on the market, you've got a much better chance of getting better terms and higher rent for your property at that time. Also, you can offer incentives to the tenant over price, like giving them the first month free in a 13-month lease. Or if they want to move in mid-month, you can give them that prorated portion of the rent for free credit towards their move-in, and then add an additional 12 months on top of that, so you're a 12-month lease plus the free part that you gave them. Think like that, little things that you can do to entice a person over to your property versus the other choices that they may have, little things you can advertise other than just rent price. So again, be willing to negotiate. If you get somebody that's well qualified and you really want them in your property, you probably might need to do a little bit of negotiation to get them to come to your property versus some of the others, because they might have incentives at the other properties too. So just, again, good to know your overall market, good to do your research ahead of time, know the positives and negatives of your property, the neighborhood, the community, and then just the general market in making your decisions on where to price your rental. Hope you found this information useful and look forward to seeing you on our next video. Thanks again for watching.